If I traveled back in time to the 50s, the first thing I would do is get all them people therapy. I'd be like, I have something for you.
I want to start this Mother's Day off by saying Happy Mother's Day. We're about to watch and talk about the film about the horniest mom of all time. Back to the Future, 1985 film starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson. Marty McFly goes to help Dr. Brown on an experiment that he's doing. He shows up in a parking lot, and it turns out it's a time travel car, but the car has been fueled with plutonium that was stolen from the Libyans.
Naturally, the Libyans.
The Libyans shoot Dr. Brown. As Marty McFly tries to escape, he accidentally sets the time clock back to 1955, and so when he gets out of the car, it is 1955. He's in his same town, but it's 30 years prior. Let's get into talking about this. He goes back in time and he's like, okay, well, now I'm back in the 1950s, and he sees his father peeping on his mother, and then he gets hit by the car, and he's still like, I gotta get my parents together.
Look. Honestly, based on what you see in the present of their relationship and what you see of them individually to start, it wasn't meant to be. I feel like it was all Marty just trying to protect his own existence, right? Like it's all really for him about like, I need to not die. So these people have to get together. But even like the original way they got together didn't seem great because she would tell the story like, he got hit by the car and I felt bad for him. That's not how love should start. And so it kind of felt like you see Crispin Glover being so Crispin that it's just like, I think you need to be alone and get right with yourself first for so long. You know what I mean? If I traveled back in time to the 50s, the first thing I would do is get all them people therapy. I'd be like, I have something for you from the future. That's what you all need. You don't know how to talk about feelings.
I mean, yeah, it's true. The 50s were a repressive time. There is the deeply uncomfortable subplot of Marty McFly's mom being incredibly horny for him.
Yes.
Rewatching it now, Alyssa, did you find that horniness charming?
No, that was not charming. That was very uncomfortable. That was like, I wish she'd stop. I'm not going to lie. I did fast forward that part because I was like, I can't watch this. Because that was truly, that was gross. And I thought about it. I was like, I saw this in 1985.
And
I was 9.
You're a kid.
Right. But like, this is what I've never understood, and rewatching it too. Okay, Marty McFly's gone back in time. He in that past, he was a man that his mother was so horny for. Okay, he was a man that got his parents together. How is it in the present time his parents don't look at him and be like, "You look exactly like the guy"? Because imagine it, she was so horny for him. You don't forget somebody you were that horny about.
That's true.
You could not. And
especially if they reject you and you're in high school.
Yes. That's a scar. That's a scar that'll never heal. And then she even says when they're together, she's like, Marty, that's a nice name, implying she will name her son Marty. So you cannot tell me that they don't remember this man. The man who's the reason they're together looks exactly like their son. I don't know. Some people argue, like Andy, he was like, well, do you remember some person you met for a week, like 30 years ago? And I was like, I would if they were the reason I have the life I have now. You know what I mean?
When his parents finally dance together, there is an obstacle, which is the lead guitarist of the all-black band that is playing at this apparently all-white high school's dance. Has hurt his hand and he can't play. And so now Marty McFly has to jump in and play guitar. And Naomi, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Well, then, in this beautiful Caucasian reimagining of the past, somehow Marty McFly plays Chuck Berry. All right? And he blows their minds. And now in this world, Chuck Berry's cousin Marvin alerts Chuck to this sound. And now what we have is not only has Marty McFly invented rock and roll, but Chuck Berry stole it from a white man. Do you see how that portrait has been painted? And and it was just like so insane and so funny that of all the things Marty could have impacted, in the past, it was, let's have him invent rock and roll. It's like, what?
Let's get into the characters. Which character in this movie did you think is the biggest asshole? And which one did you think was actually the least morally bad?
Okay. So, biggest assholes. Let's start with the principal, who we've not discussed, but he was a fucking asshole. He was not nice. He was abusive. He was a terrible person, and he shamed Marty in the beginning and was like, you're going to be a loser just like your dad, which in today's day and age, I think would be like an illegal thing for a principal to say, but so that's one.
What do you think about Biff and his crew?
He is like the classic over-the-top bully, like abusive, like not just bully, rapist, who was just this like nasty bully that like made George McFly do his homework and was like, you didn't do it soon enough, so I got to write it in my own handwriting or he was just like the worst possible person.
Do you see any similarities between the personality of Biff Tannen and the personality of the president?
Why, yes, of course.
Yes.
They're so very similar. For instance, right away, Marty's late to school, and the principal's like, get it together, McFly. Meanwhile, Biff is out here just beating people senseless and attacking women, and no one stopped him in the hallways. And so it really feels like he got a pass. At some point, Biff got a pass, and no one stopped him. And it just, really metastasized. That evil, that, you know what I mean? And that's very similar to a person who's in a house that's white.
And the person who I think is the best person is probably Marty's mom. I think Lorraine was like just trying to fucking find her way. I think she's a good person.
Interesting. Yeah. George McFly makes me so mad because I literally feel like, okay, you know what it is? What I saw this time, and that if I was the mom, I would never forget the pause before he attacks Biff. And the pause before he pushes the guy off of her. Meaning the moment where he's like where Bill's like, get out of here. And he kind of stands there. He's like, I don't know. I guess maybe I should get out of here. I just feel like if you saw me being sexually assaulted and you just had to take a beat, I would never forget that shit. I would never forget it. It would never be okay. I would literally see that in my nightmares.
I think Doc is he was doing drug deals over plutonium and going to weaponize them for nuclear war. So I think that despite his affable nature, Doc was an asshole who I don't find completely relatable.
I agree that Dr. Brown is an asshole, but I think he's one of the funniest characters in movie history. He's not make me gasp for air funny, but every time he's on screen, you're like, all right. He's on, he's on
Lloyd
screen.
is electric. Yeah.
He's so great. He's so exciting.
His intentions were the most pure.
Yeah.
Right? He's a scientist. He wanted to travel.
He's also one of the only male characters in the movie who's not predatory.
That's true.
Marty
That's
Marty
true.
McFly is also not predatory, so I gotta say that Marty McFly I think is morally pretty good. Even though he does behave selfishly, he tries to fix things that he thinks that he's upset. Mm-hmm. But I think he's probably him and Dr. Brown are both pretty morally good because creepiness is something that every other male character has.
Except I didn't understand their dynamic. I felt like there were certain things that were not really fully explained. Because it's not a short movie. It's almost 2 hours. And yet I really felt like I didn't know, how do Doc and Marty know each other? Why is Marty rolling up at 1:15 in the morning? They needed boundaries. And I just didn't understand how their relationship even started, let alone got to a point where it was Marty, meet me in the abandoned parking lot outside of JCPenney.